Okay. Let's get into some headlines from across the state of Texas. It's been a while since we've done this, and there's not a ton going on, but there are some noteworthy things that I would say are worth mentioning in the past 7 days or so. One of them is we got to start with a crappy story.
Yeah.
And that is the story of Anaya Smith, the receiver for Texas A&M, who was supposed to go to SEC Media Days. He was going to be a member of the consortium of Texas A&M to go to SEC Media Days. But instead, on last Wednesday, he was arrested early Wednesday on charges of driving while intoxicated, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and marijuana possession less than 2 ounces. He was booked and released on bail for $8,000. At 2:15 a.m., he was stopped for speeding, given a sobriety test, and he was determined to be intoxicated. With the probable cause, they were able to search his vehicle, in which they found a rolled joint of marijuana and a gun with a full magazine and a round chambered during the search of the car. Anaya Smith was supposed to be a really big part of the A&M offense, and we figured he was going to be one of the top targets on the outside. One would suspect he's been suspended by A&M policy. He's been suspended for now. They said they're looking into the situation. He didn't go to SEC Media Days, obviously. Maybe that's not obvious, but yeah, he didn't go to SEC Media Days. And so, yeah, we'll wait to hear what the punishment is going to be. I would expect it'll be somewhere between 2 to 4 games. That's kind of my read on the situation. Generally speaking, knowing how these things tend to go, I would say Anaya Smith will probably be out for 2 to 4 games for A&M to start the season. So Anaya Smith, thumbs down to that story. Bad story, not good. Let's stay with A&M and stay with what happened at SEC Media Days. I think Media Days are fun to attend. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you're there, you can get good content. But, like, as far as news coming out of it, there's not a lot.
I'll tell you what, Media Days...
It's talking time.
I was going to say, Media Days are great for fun interviews and then also for us media brethren to talk with each other. Like, that... It's great networking for us. Yeah. I don't know what that really gives normal people. It's
good networking. And, like, for example... I guess we can tell you this. Thursday, we're going to be at Lone Star Conference Media Days. So if you want to have us, we're going to do live interviews with players from Angelo State and West Texas A&M and UT Permian Basin and Midwestern State.
Which means that the time of the show is moving.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be 1:30 instead of noon. We'll talk about that more over the course of today and tomorrow and Wednesday. But there's not a whole lot of news that really comes out of Media Days. It's just a lot of, hey, it gets you geeked up for football, right? So Jimbo Fisher was at SEC Media Days in Atlanta, and he was asked about any lingering tensions between him and Nick Saban. Now, you may remember that he and Nick Saban had a, let's call it a spat.
I seem to have that, back in the memory bank.
A spat about that they bought, that A&M bought every player on their recruiting class, blah, 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 and Jimbo Fisher fired back and all this stuff. He was asked about it. The quote was from Jimbo Fisher. He basically says that there's no lingering ill will towards Nick Saban. He says, quote, "We saw each other at SEC media meetings. I have great respect for Nick, had a great friendship with Nick." Interesting
Whatever.
Interesting use of tense. Had a great friendship with Nick. I respect him very much, and we all learn from different circumstances in which we have. And I have no ill will. No anything to him. I have great respect when we coached. And done a lot of great things together. We're from the same part of the country. You know what I'm saying? But we never talked like that. We never called or talked or did anything. We're just like we always were. Unfortunately, our thing went public. Sometimes that happens in this world. Nothing is private anymore. It is it. End quote. So they're probably going to be done. Here's what's probably
That's not fun, though.
Happened.
Keep it going.
I understand. But if you want my that is what he said. If you want me to tell you my read on the situation, Greg Sankey from the SEC went to both of them and said, "Y'all knock it off."
Yeah.
Y'all knock it off because we don't want the NCAA sniffing around on recruiting things, and we don't want them. We would prefer to keep a low profile. So y'all knock it off. Take each other's names out of each other's mouths.
Because everything about Texas A&M and Alabama says low key.
Well, exactly. So y'all knock it off. Yeah. No more infighting. Because the thing the SEC has done particularly well is that they have gotten everybody on the same page.
Oh yeah.
They've always moved as one. They've always operated as one.
Well,
you don't want there to be dissension within the ranks of two of your most high profile participants.
No.
And
especially
I promise you, the commissioner at those meetings was like, y'all are done.
Yep.
This is not going any further. You do not comment on one another at all.
Well, and especially they're looking forward to the future in the way that college football is going, of the Premier League of college football. So he's going, hey, we're right on the cusp of all this, and then you can have all the money in the world. Keep your mouth shut.
Why don't we chill?
Yeah.
Why don't we chill? Y'all can snipe at each other in text messages. If you
Exactly.
want, nothing goes public. Okay.
Still not fun.
We mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I'll mention it now. Now it's taking the next step. The Division I college football players would have 2 periods of time, one in the winter and one in the spring, to enter the transfer portal and be immediately eligible to play if a proposed rule change gets final approval. The Division I count, we talked about this. Transfer window rules transfer portal windows may become a new policy. Right now, you can basically enter the transfer portal anytime you want. Now, the deadline to be eligible for 2022 has passed, but you could enter it right now and be eligible in 2023. That has created quite a revolving door for rosters.
Yep.
You never know who's going to enter the transfer portal when, this, that, and the other. But the Division I Council endorsed on Tuesday several of the Transformation Committee's initial proposal and passed them on to the official board for approval. They've taken the next step. It's coming. It's going to get approved. And what's going to happen is that the transfer window, or the transfer portal, is going to be open for about I don't know. I never saw a couple of a list. It would be 60 days.
Okay.
I think it would be. Or rather, it will last 45 days, and then there will be another one from May 1 to May 15.
So collective,
yes,
60.
So collectively,
okay.
60 days in which
45 and then 15.
Yeah, to say I want to transfer, and so that's going to be coming. We probably thought that was coming anyway, simply because the transfer portal had kind of gone haywire of everyone just transferring whenever they wanted to, and coaches and programs need to have a little bit more stability, and so the transfer portal windows are almost certainly coming. Let's move to high school. And this was something, and maybe while I was in COVID hell, I missed this. But did you see what went on in there was a pretty big coaching change at the 2A level while I was kind of gone. And that is that Post, who played for a championship, you may remember, a couple of years ago.
And made it to the semifinal. Well, that was the same year.
Has a new coach. So Jeff Cordell was the head coach at Crane, Golden Cranes. He stepped down after 3 seasons, went 25-8, did a great job there. Jeff Cordell did at Crane. They have hired Michael Pittman from Post. Michael Pittman was spectacular, led them to back-to-back title game appearances in 2019 and 2020. He's 77-28 at Post. A good friend of Dave Campbell's Texas football. Happy for him. He has now taken the job at Crane. That happened in July. He moved there. Post has now hired Decatur defensive line coach and Snyder native John Wright to be the next head coach. He got hired on July 12th. July 12th. Things are moving kind of crazy. Okay. We also, did you know this? Did you know we had a coaching change during coaching school?
Who was it? I knew all about the Post stuff. We had talked about that when you were gone.
Oh, I did. I must have missed that. I was not watching the show.
Yeah, it's because you hate us. We get it.
Correct. We had a 5A coaching change during coaching school.
Who was it?
Medina Valley.
No, I missed this one.
Lee Crisp stepped down during coaching school. After 3 seasons there at Medina Valley, they have promoted their defensive coordinator, Danny Sanchez, to take over the Panthers heading into 2022. That is a 5A Division I program that is changing coaches on July 22nd.
Man, he must have heard something at coaching school and said, you know what? No, I'm done.
July 22nd.
Yeah, that's wild.
Okay, and then one other thing, and I want to talk about, we don't talk a ton about this program, probably because they are one of the smallest 11-man programs in the state. Let's talk about the Angoras of Rock Springs.
All right.
Okay, the Angoras of Rock Springs have had a wild 2022. So, let's go back, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in 2020.
Okay.
In 2020, they had a coach by the name of, is that right? He was there in 2019, I suppose. 2019, 2020, 2021.
Okay.
Sean Barry. Sean Berry was the head football coach and boys athletic coordinator at Rock Springs.
Okay.
He had a weird thing where he was at center point. Okay. Because he from what I understand, he broke his contract with Centerpoint in a weird way that led to him having his educator certification suspended for 1 year beginning on February 21st, 2021 or 2020. Follow me on this. So there was he continued to work for Rock Springs ISD, and there wasn't a complaint filed with them until after.
And he was the head coach at that time
head coach
of the 2019 season and the 2020.
Correct.
And you can't be a coach without an educator certificate.
So a whole lot of weird stuff's going on with Sean Berry.
We're one of the only states that does that.
By the way, reported by our friend Amy McDaniel of the San Angelo Standard Times.
Ah, very nice.
All that stuff's going on, right? Wild stuff. So, long story short, this past year, or after his 3 seasons there at Rock Springs, he goes 18-14, pretty good.
Yeah.
And he resigns or he departs after three seasons. They promote their offensive coordinator John Pena on February 2nd.
Okay.
Cool.
Are those 2 seasons still counting towards UIL records or not because he doesn't have a certificate?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's asked the UIL to get involved in this. Probably because they just haven't won all that much.
Right.
18-14 is good, but they're not playing.
It's not. Yeah, you're not in a state semifinal with a.
So they promote offensive coordinator John Pena February 2nd. You're probably asking me why on July 25th are you bringing this up?
Nah, keep going.
In early July, Pena resigned due to personal reasons.
Whew.
And then they promoted their defense coordinator Lamar Rodriguez.
So he was the coach for 3 months.
For 3 months. So they went from Sean Berry, who was there under kind of strange circumstances.
For 3 years.
Then move on to John Pena, the offensive coordinator.
For 3 months.
Who was there for 3 months. And now they have their third coach in 7 months there at Rock Springs in Lamar Rodriguez, as he was promoted to head coach.
That's wild.
Anyway, fun times in Rock Springs, Texas. Wild story there in Rock Springs, but they have a head coach and defense coordinator, Lamar Rodriguez. I had missed that.
Oh, Step says as long as he's a full-time employee of the district, then it's fine. So I guess you can work for the district, but not the...
I guess that's right.
That doesn't... okay.
It's a weird thing. I don't know.
Wild.
They said it was up in the air, this whole thing with Rock Springs, but anyway.
We've landed on a coach for now.
Congratulations to Lamar Rodriguez. He is the new head coach at Rock Springs.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.